Following the walkout and agitation by Labour, tonight we'll speak with the Ministry of State for Petroleum Resources on the oil and gas sector in Nigeria, price of fuel, subsidies, and the state of the nation. And Borno Senator Ali Ndume may be in trouble after the court today ordered his arrest following the decision to stand as surety for Mr. Abdulrasheed Maina, who is standing in trial over allegations of corruption. Hello everyone and welcome to Politics Today on Channels Television. I'm Sean Wakimbaloye in Lagos. Tonight, you will get to hear from the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Mr. TIMIPRE SYLVA, on the state of Nigeria's oil and gas sector, especially some of the issues raised by Labour. Is our guest today on the program, so stay with us, everyone. But let's tell you quickly that a federal high court in Abuja has ordered the remand of Senator Ali Ndume at the Kuje Correctional Center over his failure to produce former chairman of the Pension Reform Task Team, Abdulrasheed Maina, in court. In a bench ruling delivered by Justice Okonabang, the court ordered Senator Ndume's remand pending the fulfillment of his bail bond, which is a forfeiture of 500 million naira to the federal government. The court also empowered the federal government to sell Senator Ndume's property at Asokoro to recover the 500 million naira bail bond. Justice Abang added that Senator Ndume shall be released from Kuje Correctional Center once he is able to pay the 500 million naira to the federal government, and if the prosecutor is able to dispose the property and make payment to the federal government. Senator Ndume had agreed to stand as surety for Mr. Maina, who is standing trial on 12 counts of alleged money laundering. One of the terms of the surety is for the senator to accompany the defendant to the court on every date fixed for trial, but Mr. Maina has failed to present himself in court since the trial resumed on September the 29th. On October the 2nd, Senator Ndume told the court that he did not know the whereabouts of the defendant and has not been able to locate him. His lawyers, however, promised to appeal the ruling, while the trial in absentia of Mr. Abdulrasheed Maina has been fixed for November the 24th. Before we bring on the Minister for State for Labour, for Petroleum Resources, Mr. TIMIPRE SYLVA, let's tell you some more about some other stories that you need to know on our political roundup.
The Vice President, Professor Yemi Oshibajo, and other members of the economic team have begun the 26th Nigerian Economic Summit in the nation's capital, Abuja. One of the key issues being discussed is the current economic recession in the country, and Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, promised that Nigeria will exit the recession by the first quarter of 2021. The Vice President, on his part, emphasized that government is committed to working in synergy with the private sector to foster equitable growth and underpin national development. The Akwa Ibom State High Court has issued a bench warrant for the arrest of Professor Ignatius Uduk of the University of Uyo, who is accused of involvement in electoral fraud during the 2019 general elections. The Independent National Electoral Commission had filed a motion for substituted service, which was granted on November the 16th after several unsuccessful attempts to serve the professor with a summons to appear before the court. Ahead of the Imo North Senatorial District by-election slated for the 5th of December 2020, the candidate of the All Progressives Congress in the election, Senator Ifeanyi Ararume, has expressed optimism that his party, the APC, will emerge victorious at the polls. Senator Ararume disclosed this to newsmen after an enlarged meeting with stakeholders and APC members from Imo North Senatorial District. He says the party leaders have resolved to put all differences behind and come together to ensure victory of the party in the forthcoming Imo North by-election.
All of us, the legislature, the executive, leadership of the party, at various local governments, the state, various local governments and the wards, bringing every leader together to make sure the party is one indivisible party.
Thank you, everyone, for staying with us, and let's get started, shall we? Yesterday, there was drama at a meeting between the federal government and the organized labor, comprising the Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC, and the Trade Union Congress, TUC, where they staged a walkout from the session. But Labour has been explaining reasons for walking out on the federal government during a meeting on Sunday at a presidential villa. The union say their action is a protest against government's violation of terms of agreement. The deputy president of the NLC, Mr. Nasir Idris, insists that nothing was in the agreement reached with the federal government in their last meeting gives the right to increase the pump price of petrol. The labor leaders are, however, silent on whether or not they will resume the suspended nationwide protest that was earlier scheduled for the 28th of September. Tonight on the program, we have the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Mr. TIMIPRE SYLVA. He joins us from our Abuja studio. Thank you so much, Honorable Minister, for joining us tonight on the program. And let me begin with what is in the news. The reason why the labor leaders walked out of that meeting yesterday, they claim the government is not sincere. Considering the present situation of things in the country, an average citizen's purchasing power, the inflation rate in the country, a rise of food prices, as a government, is it justified to increase the pump price of fuel?
So I think saying that government has increased pump price is not really reflecting the actual situation. The discussion a long time ago was that we were deregulating. And why were we deregulating, taking subsidy out of PMS? Because the government was sincere enough to tell everybody that government is no longer in a position to subsidize PMS, because our earnings had reduced by up to 60%. This is not a Nigerian problem, it's a global problem. And of course, here in Nigeria, we decided to make our choice and say, okay, look, if we don't deregulate and we continue to subsidize, then we have to choose between, for example, paying salaries of workers and subsidizing PMS. And the government felt, look, there are a lot of important things to do. Although, of course, fuel subsidy was also important, but we felt that in the scheme of things, let us subsidize and allow market forces to determine the price of PMS. And that discussion went on for a long time, and we agreed. And what deregulation means is that the price was not going to be static anymore, because it was going to be reflective of market forces. Being, for example, the Platts price of PMS will then affect the price at the pump. You see that even crude oil, which is actually the feedstock for refining PMS, the price of crude oil will also affect the price on the pump. Now, you saw that fuel prices, crude oil prices went up a little bit in marketplace. And as we agreed during the deregulation discussions, the pump price also reflected the increase in crude oil price. Of course, when crude oil prices went down, the pump price also reflected it. So this is the whole essence of the deregulation. And then, of course, some people go out there and say that government is increasing pump price. Government is no longer in the business of fixing petroleum product prices. That was what was agreed, and that is the whole essence of deregulation.
So, Minister, you probably will need to clarify a few of these issues for us. So let's quickly tackle them one after the other. The fuel that we're talking about, petrol, is perhaps one of the most popular commodity in the hands of the citizen. The APC promised before the election that it's going to alleviate the pains of Nigerians. Perhaps the timing is the issue for some Nigerians. Shouldn't the government have thought about alternative rather than what may have caused the citizens more hardship, heavier than what they are presently bearing?
Well, yes, I agree. The timing is not a good time. I mean, this is not a good time for anybody, not anywhere in the world. But it is also not a good time for the country. Our earnings have reduced. We are not able to continue subsidizing. It is not a Nigerian problem. It is an international problem. It's a global problem, and that's what we all must understand.
Sir, tell us, has Nigeria officially 100% stopped payment of subsidy?
Look, already, you see, what I always say is that you said that PMS is actually one of the most popular products that Nigerians use. I agree. But let us also look at it from the fact that diesel, which is actually the fuel that is used by trucks that transport foodstuff, has been deregulated long ago. Kerosene, which is the fuel of choice at the most rural level, has been deregulated long ago. PMS is actually the product that is used by motorists, mostly middle-class people, mostly richer Nigerians. I don't know why it is now the biggest problem, because I don't see how deregulating PMS is now a bigger problem than the deregulation of diesel and the deregulation of kerosene, which are actually impacting the poorer people even more directly.
So, the question I asked about subsidy, Minister, you've not answered it. Has the federal government officially 100% stopped subsidies?
How did we stop subsidy?
Have you 100%
stopped subsidy? 100%. Well, that is, you see, we are still trying to manage this bumpy start. I must agree. That is the actual situation. We have not really been able to get to that 100% removal of subsidy from the foreign exchange end. If we were to actually take it out completely and allow people to access foreign exchange from the parallel market and import the product, the price at the pump will even be more. But the federal government, knowing the impact this will have on the people, decided that they are going to still manage this situation. NNPC is the only one that is able to import. And NNPC is able to import because they generate their own dollars and they are able to import directly from their dollars. That's why the ordinary marketer is not been able to access foreign exchange to import this product. And if they do that, we believe that will even impact the price. That's why, for now, NNPC is the supplier, the supplier of last resort, continues to play that role to supply the product at a slightly subsidized rate. So it is still subsidized in a way, I must say.
For example, in the last month of October, in the past month, how much of subsidy did Nigeria pay?
Well, we are not paying subsidy. I'm just saying that NNPC is able to import from their dollars, the dollars that they are able to generate. So for some, they are not able, we cannot now look at it as accessing dollar at a subsidized rate from the central bank. But NNPC is able to generate the dollars and import. You know, they do crude oil swap. They use the crude oil to swap. And so somehow we know that there is still a subsidy element, but we are not in a hurry to take that off now. Because we know that if we take that off, it's going to impact the people much more than it's impacting them now.
Let's take a breather, Honorable Minister. When we return, we'll talk more on the future of the decision made by the federal government, the issues that Labour has raised, the agitations on the street. Don't go anywhere, everyone. We'll be right back. Let's get back to the conversation with the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Mr. TIMIPRE, who is in our Abuja studio. Thank you so much, Honorable Minister, for your time tonight. Let's get started again. And I'd like to know, since the sector has now been deregulated, as you mentioned earlier, are you going to scrap the Petroleum Equalization Fund?
Well, the PIB, which is a law before the National Assembly, doesn't have a place for the Petroleum Equalization Fund. That's all I can say for now. So I believe that when the PIB is passed, the PEF will no longer be in existence as it is. It will be a part of the downstream regulatory authority.
I'm going to come back to the PIB matter shortly, but let me get clarification on this, because I know it was in the news when you signed the Memorandum of Understanding with Niger Republic. You must have heard some Nigerians speak on that matter, that the federal government signed an MOU with Niger Republic over importation of oil from that country. How do you react to those who have described that scenario as an embarrassment?
I don't see that as an embarrassment at all, Sheung. As a country, Nigeria is a big market. We need product. Even if all our refineries were functioning, we will still need extra product. Niger Republic produces oil, and they are landlocked as a country. They have a refinery that refines in excess of what they require in country. And they offer to sell the excess to us in Nigeria because this is a bigger market. In the spirit of regional cooperation, regional trade development, we decided that we will buy from them. I don't see anything wrong with that. I mean, if your neighbor is producing something that is required in your country and you buy from him, why is that a big problem? So we agreed with Niger to buy the excess of what they don't require in Niger, and because this is a big market. I think Nigerians should even be proud that we are doing that. I mean, to be able to encourage this sub-regional trade, because we've had this problem. We've been talking about sub-regional trade for a long time, and this is one of the examples of how it should be between neighboring countries. Niger should import from us what we have. We should be able to import from Niger what they have. Benin should import from us what we have, and we should be able to import. Let us try and encourage intra-regional trade. And this is one good example of trading within West Africa.
So give us an update on the exploration of oil in that Lake Chad region. Is the federal government still revving up plans on that?
Oh, yeah, definitely. We are very much on that project. We have already found oil. We drilled two wells so far in the northeast, in the Gombe area, and they were very successful. And the exploration and drilling will continue in the Chad Basin, on our side of the Chad Basin.
So, I mean, it takes me again to the knotty issues of Nigeria refineries. Minister, how do you explain that the refineries over the past months have produced virtually nothing? Reports reveal that it was since June that the production has come to zero. But operational expenses amounted to over 10 billion naira, resulting in an operating deficit of 10.2 billion by the refineries.
Well, so that is a knotty issue, I must say, but you must agree. I mean, if we continue to preserve the workforce, then it means that we are serious about getting to use this workforce in the future. If you lay them off and you fix the refineries, you have to go looking for them again to employ. It is because we want to fix those refineries that we have kept them. And apart from that, there are all kinds of labor issues, as you know. if the refineries are down, but it doesn't mean that we're not going to fix those refineries again. And we will require these experts. It is not in a day that you have somebody develop experience. I mean, these people have been working in the refining business for a long time, and we need them when the refineries are fixed. If Nigerians are saying that refineries should be fixed, then they should know that at the end of the day, we will still need this work, these experienced people to man these refineries when they are fixed. Well, of course, that is in addition to the fact that there are all kinds of labor issues to deal with if you have to sack all those refinery, the workers. That's one of the big problems that we have to deal with. But as I continue to say, the deregulation will help the commercial status of the refineries. Before now, because of the subsidy, you refine the products and you sell at a subsidy. The refineries were not able to function optimally. With deregulation, we believe that these refineries can function optimally, and we're looking for ways. In fact, in December, next month, we're going to be signing the EPC for fixing the EPC for the rehabilitation of Port Harcourt Refinery, and the other two will follow.
All right, Honorable Minister, I'm just looking at the mathematics because the federal government will say there is no money. We're having a revenue problem. If my mathematics is right, by the end of November, we will have been in operating deficit of about 6 billion naira. And that's a big issue here when we say we do not have money.
Honorable Minister, just a moment. I would like you to say this. Are you saying that those workers should be sacked? Is that what you are saying? Is that what you're advising the federal government?
No, I'm not in the position to advise the federal government. I'm just asking whether it is mathematically or financially or economically viable for the federal government to go in that direction.
Also, you must look at it. You must look at it from the side of the workers themselves. What is going to be the cost on the workers if you lay off those workers? It will come at a cost too to the government, because even keeping them employed itself is something that government needs to do. We know that the refineries are not working, but the option would have been to sack those workers. But of course, you look at it as a responsible government, you look at firing all these workers and getting them into the labor market through it's not exactly their fault alone. And you cannot just say, okay, fire all these workers and let them just go to the labor market. It has to be managed, Sheung, and you know that.
Honorable Minister, I'm just worried, because if it's in the private sector or as an entrepreneur, Honorable Minister, if some of these things keep going on in the manner in which they have gone on, but let me quickly draw your attention. I'd like you to also answer this.
If it was private sector, if it was private sector, but this is government. If we had fired all those workers, you will actually also be one of those who will ask me questions why we fired all those workers.
All right.
We keep them to also ask this question. But this is government.
Okay, so because if those refineries, our own refineries, are in full capacity, they could give us as much as about 450,000 barrels per day, and we actually need about, as at September, we had 486,000 barrels per day for consumption. That's our capacity for consumption in Nigeria. But I understand that there are plans by the federal government with some investors to give up majority stakes in these 4 refineries. When is this likely to happen? And of course, if the PIB is passed, the NNPC might also be privatized. Give us an update on those.
Well, at no time have we said that the NNPC is going to be privatized. The beginning of the whole process will be that NNPC will be commercialized. It will become a CAMA company. It will be registered as a limited liability company and run as a commercial venture. But it will still be a government-owned company. It will not be privatized.
Oh, great. So, because I may want to draw your attention back into the fact that some of these workers that we are now in a deficit of almost 6 60 billion Nigerian naira at the end of the month. So invariably, you're telling us, Minister, now that they are working, they are being paid for nothing, because one will wonder, maybe they can be plowed to do some other things within the sector.
No, of course. Let me give you this. Now, with the PIB, some of these agencies will no longer exist. PPPRO will no longer exist as PPPRO, for example. PEF will no longer exist as PEF, for example. But the workers will exist. But the solution will not be to sack these workers, because the agencies have been swallowed by other agencies, or the PIB has actually been passed and the PIB had moved on without them. Oh, well, the PIB didn't take cognizance of their existence. But you won't fire those workers. You must find other ways of absorbing those workers and keeping them in employment. That is a process that will take place after the PIB is passed. And then, of course, we will rationalize, look at all the issues, and see how people can be gainfully engaged.
All right.
But the people in the refineries that are more or less not working now, the people who will become redundant because the PEF is no longer in existence. Then you have staff that will also, PPPRO staff that will also become redundant because the PPPRO will no longer exist. Then we'll look at the whole industry and overhaul, and then re-strategize and see how we can reorganize the industry. So the PIB is going to give us an opportunity for a complete makeover of the industry.
All right, Honorable Minister, I'm being told that I have just 20 seconds to close the program, but I'd like you to touch on this as fast as you can, please. And is in the area of the modular refinery. I understand that you're due to launch one tomorrow. How many of such modular refineries are currently on stream, and what is their capacity? Quickly, please, Honorable Minister. 5
modular refineries are on stream. One is going to be commissioned tomorrow, and together they will produce over 100,000 barrels. Yes, together they will be about 50,000.
All right. Honorable Minister for Petroleum Resources, TIMIPRE SYLVA, thank you indeed for clarifying some of these issues and talking to us right here on Channels Television. Thank you indeed.
Thank you.
But that's our show for tonight, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm Sean Kimberley. Bye for now.